Hey everybody, my name is Reese and this is Reese Rides. On this video, I'm going to talk about all the parts on my bike that I like to have on there for single track and enduro style trail riding. So let's get right into it. To give you some background information, this is a 2016 YZ450FX. I bought it used with about 22 hours on it. And the guy had put an hour meter on it, the Forest Service approved spark arrestor, and the hand guards on it, and the works connection radiator braces before I had bought it. So it now has about 60 hours on it, and I'm going to cover all the things that I have added to it that I like for the type of riding that I'm doing. So let's start from the top, a few repeats here. So got the Enduro Engineering hand guards. I really like the full wraparound hand guards. I feel like it saves my levers and it makes it a little more difficult to hang your helmet off of there, but I just prefer the full wrap hand guards. So on the left hand side here, I've got my left hand rear brake. This is the aux brake cable operated rear brake that I put on there at the same time as I put on my Rekluse Radius CX clutch. So those two are a fantastic combination, and I'm gonna do a video purely on just those two because I think it makes such a big difference with this bike on the trails that I'm doing. So then moving down, I've got the Acerbis upper fork tube protectors that keep the forks nice for rocks and roots and stuff that get kicked up. And then I've got the shock socks that are essentially an extra dust seal or dust protector for your dust seal on your fork seals. So that's pretty handy. And I forgot to mention up here at the top, I've got the Motion Pro fork bleeders that I just like to do at the beginning of every ride. Just bleed those just to make sure that everything's how it's supposed to be inside the forks. All your pressures are equalized to the environment that you're in and the temperature and all that. So then we move down to the works connection radiator braces. So like I said, those came on the bike. I modified them a little bit to fit this GYTR radiator fan that I got for it. That's just a plug and play kit. There's a little pigtail up here that you just plug it in and it's ready to go. It has its own temperature sensor inside the bike that tells it when to kick on. I used it this weekend for the first time and it worked great. It kicked on and then it kicked off. No drain on my battery or anything like that. So then, like I said, Radius CX auto clutch. I really like that. I'll do another video on that. So then I also have the Moose skid plate, and that is an amazing piece of protective gear. So that thing covers the water pump and it covers my stator a little bit over here and like where the oil fill plug is. And then it's got linkage protection to it. There's a massive coverage on this Moose skid plate. It's just like an AXP skid plate essentially. So that's a must-have for me for the riding that I'm doing. So then I've got these frame guards by Acerbis as well to keep me from rashing up the frames with my boots. And then I've got the Polysport swing arm covers that also keep my swing arms nice. You can see I've already used them. They've got some scuffs and stuff in them. Down here you can see the aux brake, the little lever for it that activates my rear brake pedal. On this side over here, I've got a stator cover. It's a carbon fiber stator cover that I got off of eBay from a guy in Brazil who makes these things. It's kind of a pricey thing, but I wanted to make sure it was covered because the stator already had some cover to it or some scratches to it when I bought the bike. Now down at the bottom of the forks, I've got the fork shoes by Acerbis. So that just covers the bottom of the fork tube to keep that from getting too rashed up. There was, again, some rash on those when I bought the bike, so I figured I'd better protect that to make sure that doesn't get any worse. You still have access to your axle nut and your clickers at the bottom, so you don't have to worry about that. They're obviously not quite as durable as like the Enduro Engineering aluminum ones that go on there that cover like the full bottom. but I haven't gotten into anything where I felt like that was necessary yet. I don't run disc guards, front or rear, at the moment. That might be something that I invest in the future. At this point, I haven't been in such a gnarly position or laid my bike over, because I'd like to try and keep my bike pretty nice, so I ride conservatively sometimes to make sure that I don't lay it over. So I haven't bent to rotor yet. It'll probably be once I bend to rotor that I'll put them on, unfortunately, and then I'll have to spend the money for that. So then I've got the FMF F4.1 titanium silencer, and that's a little louder than stock, but that's a nice addition. I am running Tubliss in the rear only at the moment, and that was just because I needed to change that rear tire, and I bought the Tubliss while I was gonna do that, just to make sure that I could get it all done in one go. And the front tire wasn't ready to go yet, so I just didn't do that one. And then I decided that I was gonna try running Tubliss in the rear and a Nitro Mousse in the front. So I've got the Nitro Mousse on the shelf and a new front tire ready to go when this one finally gives up. It keeps hanging on there, but it's getting down there, so I might have to change it here pretty soon. So I'm running a Shinko 525 cheater in the rear. So that's kind of like a hybrid gummy tire. It's working pretty well. It's getting kind of torn up, but it still gets pretty great traction. The front that was on it when I got it, and it's now got, I mean, I've put 40 hours on it, and I think it was pretty new when I got it, so it's hanging on there pretty good. This is the Kenda Washougal DC, or Washougal II DC. So that has been a pretty good tire. I have nothing to compare to on that tire because it's the only tire that I've had on this bike so far. But so far it's been a pretty good tire. I am really curious to see how the Nitro Mousse performs in there. I've got a Bridgestone M59 that I'm going to throw on there with the Nitro Mousse once I get around to that. So look forward to a review on that, as well as a full review of the Radius CX clutch with this aux brake combination. I think that's an amazing combination. That's going to be a good video. I want to make sure I do it justice because that's a great addition. So I did want to mention one more thing. I have this G2 throttle cam. You kind of see it in there, that red anodized thing. G2 throttle cam that essentially changes the profile of the throttle so that when you're pulling it, initially you get less throttle, so you have more resolution to your throttle pull. So it essentially, it tames down your throttle pull just to make it a little bit easier so you don't whiskey throttle as easily. So anyway, that is pretty much it for parts. That is all the important stuff that I put on my bike to make sure that I feel ready for the type of riding that I'm doing. If anybody has any questions or comments, feel free to shoot them my way. Look for some more content in the future on parts, reviews of parts, rides definitely, and I'll see you on the next one.